Hey everybody, it's your old friend John DeLuna. Welcome to new Soundwave 63. It's old school, baby. It's audio only. Our intrepid leader on the TF Radio Network, Brian Kilby, is on assignment this week. But he'll be back next week, and you'll be able to see all our beautiful faces. Until then, just enjoy the dulcet tones of our voices. So as you have heard, this is your host, John DeLuna, and with me this week is Rob Springer, XV, Peter AKK, Weebum, and JD. JD is running the board. He is producing. He is awesome.
Yeah,
we're
JD, say hello.
doing a great job.
Basically, that means I'm sitting here, so thank you, though. I'm glad to help.
And for the duration of the show, he will be playing video games.
That's right, because in honor of the show being a video game show, right?
That's right.
Right on.
Right.
Yes, so get to it. You know, before the show, Peter and I were talking about how this week would suck as far as news, except the 3DS. The 3DS has basically been launched, announced, what have you, in New York this week. Actually, today, the day we're recording, which is Wednesday. So here's the rundown. We can talk about it, gents. So it's going to be released on March 27th. That's awesome. That's right around the corner. It's going to be $250, which is not
Ouchie.
Which is ouch. Yes, and it's already on pre-order, at least on Amazon, and I'm sure some other places for $250. And at least one of the games, if this is any indication, Street Fighter 4 3D is going for $40. So it looks like the games are going to be a little bit more expensive too.
Not really surprised there. I mean,
Not really surprised there, but $250. Yeah, kind of pricey. Rob, you still excited? You still hyped?
I'm still pumped.
it hurts a little more though, doesn't it?
It hurts a little more. Seeing I haven't bought an XL yet, which I will. It probably won't be in March, just because it's, come on, really.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen, and you guys are going to hear can you hear me on new Soundwave tonight? No, guys, I got to mow the grass. Bloop, 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 bloop. What's that here? Shut up.
We're gonna figure out a way to do Soundwave in 3D on launch week.
Yeah, Rob is going to be mowing the grass in 3D.
Whoa.
Because I'm sure that game will exist.
I would say without glasses, but come on, guys, I'd end up in the road or something.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so a couple more tidbits on it. So when it launches, you'll have a choice of two colors, Cosmo Black and Aqua Blue, because they can't call it black and blue. They got to call it something, right?
Well, that sounds like a bruise. I mean,
then it'd be home abuse. So you can't do that.
Yes, it would be domestic abuse 3DS.
Yeah.
Here's a cool one. You can transfer your purchases that you made on the DSi to the 3DS, which is awesome.
that's amazingly not horrible of them.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. 30 games between launch and E3 this year. So between
E3?
The E3 is, when is it? It's in June-ish. So
Summer-ish, like
between launch and say June, between March and June, which is a pretty short
A
time.
general idea is fine. I don't follow video game news, so I have no concept of when that is.
So about 30 games by midsummer, something like that, which is pretty good.
How many will people
Pretty
actually
solid
want to
launch
play?
time frame.
How many of these games will people actually want to play, though?
Probably quite a few, because the launch titles are retro-tastic.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because like I said, it's Street Fighter 4, Kid Icarus, really glowing reviews from people who've tested it. There's a Resident Evil game. Yeah, there's Pilot Wings.
And there's a rumor that Metroid may be coming to 3DS.
Yeah, I think that's a depth. I think about, like at some point.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's cool to hear. Everybody's favorite avatars in the world, the Miis. You'll be able to transfer your Mii from your Wii to the 3DS, or here's one that's going to be, it's kind of creepy, kind of cool. The 3DS will automatically generate a Mii for you using its camera, if you want it to.
I can only begin to imagine the abuse potential for that function.
Just pointing your 3DS at people and creating
And
Mii.
really, I'm kind of curious on some levels of abuse here, exactly how it would process certain features.
Yes. Yes. I can only imagine and fantasize, XV. So here's something up for discussion. Okay, so the price, right? Everybody's freaking out about the price. Well, here's a little perspective, which is kind of neat, actually. So when you compare it to all the Game Boys previous, if you're curious. So the original Game Boy, which came out in '89, wow, '89, cost $90. So that's not bad, I guess. The next one, the GBA, cost $100. Can you see a pattern here? The first DS was $150. The DS Lite was actually $130, so it came down in price. And then we went back in the direction the finance department likes. So the DSi was $170. The XL was $190, and the 3DS is $250. So at $250, it is by a good stretch the most expensive Game Boy they've ever released. Chew on that, suckers.
You know, they left out a Virtual Boy and some pockets and some colors and the softest graph.
The Virtual
different
Boy,
versions
I
of the
think,
event.
doesn't exist. I think we've wiped it from.
Yeah, I would agree that the Virtual Boy should be on this just for, posterity.
Yeah, because it was over. I'm trying to remember how
Just
much I
to
bought
open
it
up the
for.
wound.
Yeah, it was over 100. But the pocket and the color, those are less than the original Game Boy, weren't they?
I remember when Walmart had Virtual Boys marked down to like $35.
Yes. I bought mine released. Shut up.
Wah, wah.
Hey, I still think it's awesome. That was a good McDonald's paycheck spent.
There you go.
Yes.
So in the grander scheme of things with the handhelds, not just looking at Game Boys. So if you look at, I guess, through the years, some of the more notable handhelds, let's put that 250 for the 3DS in perspective. It's actually cheaper than the N-Gage. The N-Gage was $300.
Oh, my.
$300. And if you adjust for inflation, the Atari Lynx, which I had, so I apologize to my parents for forking this over. When you adjust for inflation, the Atari Lynx cost $334.
What does the Game Boy translate to in inflation?
Let's see. Well, the Atari Lynx came out in the same year, in 1989, and it looks like
Ironically,
doing rough
250.
math, it was about 150,
Yeah.
150-ish when you adjust for inflation. The Game Boy, I would say.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, so all of Nintendo's handhelds up till this point have stayed basically within the same range, accounting for inflation.
Yeah, that's probably fair. That's probably fair. The 3DS is still more expensive, but yeah, not quite as much. It's still easily the most. Some other notables, I guess, here, if you're curious. So the Atari Lynx, like I said, was over $300 when you adjusted for inflation, but back then it was $190 sticker price. The Game Gear was $150, and that was all within a couple years of each other. The first Game Boy, Atari Lynx, and the Game Gear. The Neo Geo Pocket Color, which was a really good system, I must say.
Yes.
It was a really good system. It was only $70 in '99.
1999? Wow.
It was really here and gone. I contemplated buying one at Walmart. I just remember staring at it. Should I?
Yeah, I remember when they were $30 at Toys R Us, like on clearance.
Yeah.
I regret buying one to this
That's
day.
a pretty good little system.
Yeah. The N-Gage was not, like we said. It was
Oh, my.
$100, and the
Yeah.
PSP was also $250 when it came out about 5 years ago, 2005.
I think that's how much I spent on it, yeah.
Yeah.
I got mine at Costco with a bunch of free games, so.
Yeah, at least you got, you have to get a bundle, right? If you're going to pay $250, you would hope to get a bundle. I'm sure we'll hear about bundles for the 3DS soon. But one last thing to wrap up the 3DS. Spoiler alert, this thing is going to be popular. So there's a report that 400,000 3DS systems will be available for the Japan launch. And Nintendo plans to produce 4 million of them in the fiscal year beginning in March. So I think Nintendo and basically the world is expecting this to sell like hotcakes. Let's see here. Moving on to the PSP 2. So in what... so yeah, because we have to, because not at all coincidentally, this can't possibly be intentional. We got a little bit of PSP 2 news today, which frankly makes it all the sadder that we got it today of all days. So according to a UK industry magazine, a video game publication called MCV, the PSP 2 is set for unveiling at the end of this month, which is a little sooner than we thought, and it may come out sooner than we thought. So not holidays, but October-ish. So in the fall, it may come out. So it may be possible that someone's pushed it up. The meat of this story is what Sony writes or claims about the PSP2. So let's see if this gets your video game pants going crazy. So the next generation handheld will include full HD, twin joysticks, and it apparently will be as powerful as a PS3. So,
You know, I remember Kilby bringing this up some time ago, but for a handheld size screen, can you really tell the difference if it's actually HD or not?
I mean, if I could chime in, I think you can. I mean, if you look at, say, Samsung's, you know, the AMOLED screens and stuff, I mean, they actually do make a pretty big difference as far as the video quality that you get off of those. So, yeah, I would say, yeah. I mean, it can make a pretty big difference.
You know, make a really big difference.
A pair of pliers?
Games.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
there's that.
Well, you know, the other day at Sony, Bob and James were talking. They're like, PSP2. I mean, this thing's great. This is really technically amazing. They're like, do you know you can watch HD movies on the screen? Yeah, I'm watching Avatar right now on it. I ran a Blu-ray to it. Yeah, I ran a Blu-ray player to mine too. Then I ran it to the TV, and then I played like nothing. Shut up. We don't have time for games right now.
Hey, I have a PSP currently, and I am playing Galaga, so there's games.
that is awesome.
You're like the fifth person to play Galaga.
Yeah,
On the
I have a PSP I bought in '05, and I have a stack of games. The last time I bought one was in '07, because there's less than one came out that I wanted to play.
Oh, well, they don't come in stacks anymore. You have to download them, so meh.
Yeah, I was just so... God, I really am looking forward to using this cool thing. Please give me a reason to. I already have an MP3 player. I really don't want to watch movies on this tiny little screen. And I remember when it first came out, I was on the plane. I was going to New York, and I was like, hey, I got an hour for my plane. Let me walk around. Oh, cool. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I can watch it on my plane. Guess how easy I got to watch it on my plane? Not at all, because the doofus next to me watched that contraption the whole time. That's Sony's fault, too, because sometimes things can be too neat for being used.
Especially if you're flying out of
so
Atlanta.
Here's your lesson. Next time, make your handheld look, smell, and feel like a pile
Like bacon.
No, poo.
Oh. Note to
I
self.
guess the Japanese would like that. I don't
Don't
know.
use gadgetry out of Atlanta.
It's and the thing is, the guy's using a computer. He was using a computer to. It's like you don't watch TV, man. These are like advertised. Just like
He's
when
using a MacBook?
yeah,
Speaking of TV, these days on TV, reality shows are the bee's knees. They are the genre of our era, I would say. I would say the last, 15, 20 years, it's been all about reality. And what does reality genre type shows need? They need Pac-Man. So yes, it looks like we're going to get a reality show starring or featuring Pac-Man. Now, how's that going to happen? Well, have you ever seen the show
Happily.
Wipeout? It's going to be just like that, only trippier and sponsored by Namco.
I should have made this show.
You know, really,
Dude,
what, they
you
should,
got to audition.
Wipeout is
But they
pretty
should-
awesome, though.
what they should pattern Pac-Man after for a TV show is The Prisoner.
I would have made a much better Pac-Man show. We're going to get a maze, and it's going to be made of concrete so they can hurt their heads. And there's going to be, like, cupcakes all over the place. And we'll get a bunch of fat people, and everyone's going to dress up like ghosts and chase them around with, like, cattle prods. Run, mother... And they're just going to eat, and everybody will be like, there's no winners, only losers. But it will get ratings every week.
Rob,
Do you see Jersey Shore getting watched? This will get watched, okay?
Oh gosh, this will
where
be
do
watched.
I
It'll be
sign up
like
to
Snooki
go?
in a giant Pac-Man outfit. Be
No,
awesome.
Oh, I can see it now.
Yes, she can fight.
This week, the ghost chased Snooki. Ah, cupcakes!
She drinks. Yeah, she binge drinks.
It becomes like the Running Man, but there's no actual winners or losers. It's just, well, the winners are the audience because you get to watch this pure display of human ugliness.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
And
so
there'll be
according
oil
to
on the
screen
ground.
near you, and guess what? It's being also produced by Merv Griffin. So yes, the
Nice.
legend of television. The man who brought you Wheel of Fortune brings you Pac-Man. And yes, if you're
alive?
asking, yes, it's basically going to be what they say,
No, he's dead.
Okay, I was gonna say.
non-scripted, and basically people running around a giant padded Pac-Man maze. So yes, the Ghost of Merv.
So it is pretty much the Halloween edition of MXC.
Basically.
If it was, then it'd be great, because then it'd be like Pac-Man falls on his head and they make a fart sound.
Nice. If Guy Conway says in the chat he wants to be a ghost in the maze, why not have the ghost of Merv Griffin as like?
Oh,
Yes.
good job.
It's perfect.
This is
Nice.
working. You know what?
Kudos.
Did you
Hey,
see
earlier this year, we shared
That
with you an awesome, and I do mean awesome, kind of short movie, I would say, for Mortal Kombat. So it was basically Mortal Kombat done in a gritty, realistic way and not in a douchebag way. So trust me, it wasn't douchey, but it was cool. And nobody knew what it was about or what it was for. It was just like this, I don't know, 5-10 minute short film of Mortal Kombat as seen in real life. Well, now we know what that awesome short film will yield. It will be a web series. So it will be starring Michael J. White as Jax and some other folks as all your favorite Mortal Kombat characters. And we're going to get a 10-episode web series of gritty, real awesome Mortal Kombat. It's going to be awesome.
Starring Rick Moranis.
Going to be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Yes, it is going to be awesome.
Rick Moranis.
Did you guys have a chance to see that way back in, I guess, the summer? When that came out?
It was a fun video. It was almost like Mortal Kombat is effing serious. This is how serious it is. Almost over the top, but it was still like, wow, that's not Mortal Kombat at all, but that'd be a cool movie.
Yeah, nice. And I'm
Michael
sure,
Jai
I'm
White
sure
needs to
as
work.
I'm sure it doesn't hurt that Mortal Kombat 9 is coming out this summer. So,
Yes.
which also looks
Not at all.
With crazy Monster Molina, apparently.
yes. Actually, you know what? Mortal Kombat 9 is looking mighty fine. It's
Nice.
they've already said that this is the game that they're really trying to make tournament quality. So a game that like really hardcore players will play. And for frankly, all the rip-off that they're doing of Street Fighter 4, they're basically ripping off like all sorts of stuff from Street Fighter 4. It looks like it's going to be good. So we'll see. We'll see.
That works. That works.
Yeah. Hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? And there's no shame in stealing in this world anymore. So why not? They're taking all their cues from Street Fighter 4. So God bless them.
It is 1993 all over again.
It absolutely is. I'm just waiting for the day we get Earthworm Jim and Banjo-Kazooie.
I'm waiting for the ultra gritty, realistic Clay Fighter movie.
Yes, I think we're getting Clay Fighter again.
Are we for reals?
Yeah, I think we are getting a remake of that.
Nice.
John, you and
Clay
I
Fighter.
are fighting. We are playing that together, okay,
Yeah,
man?
we're gonna do an online
Yes.
tournament.
Yes.
the winner's gonna get like a $5 gift card.
A gift card to
Gonna
2CBY.
cheap out on you. That's right. Or better yet, the winner gets an RFC clock, a new Soundwave clock autographed by the cast. How about that? You know you want it. You know you want it.
Yes, and we will promise to clean it off before we send it to you.
And we promise that they won't be forged.
Absolutely not. We also promise it's going to take at least 6 months to pass it around and have everybody sign it.
We also promise that it's coming from the Dollar General, and we're just going to write stuff on it.
Yes, and we make no promises that the clock will work. So,
In fact,
Yeah, instead of
It's
having
just gonna
the
be-
logo, instead of having the logo printed, behind the face, it's gonna just be a sticker that we stick over the top of the clock.
it'd actually just be a silver Sharpie written on the little black part around the side. New Soundwave clock.
that's awesome.
Yes.
XV, if we do that, then we have to write on the front, don't be a slave to time, live your life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Be awesome. That will be awesome. Okay, so some tweets that we're going to do at the end of the show because we love you. And if you're listening to this recording, later after recording night, let this be a lesson. Listen to the show live, and you'll get to see awesome tweets by us. Or follow us on Twitter, and these will be a nice surprise for you. So we're going to tweet an awesome, I guess I would say a highlight, probably a low light, a reel of exceptionally embarrassing Pokemon cosplayers, which must be seen to believe, yes. And then an awesome link from our own Peter that defies explanation. I watched it. I watched it earlier this afternoon. But is that French? I guess I think it's French. It's a French video. It's on YouTube. It involves Game Boys and schoolgirls, and not at all creepy. You're gonna love it. It'll be really awesome. So coming
Schoolboys
soon.
and schoolboys.
Yes.
I'll look
yes.
at 8-track.
Yes, 8 tracks, old technology. Basically, essentially, it's what happens when you throw old technology, the awesome technology that we built, in front of kids who, live in a digital age.
That's awesome.
There was once an interview with the kid who got to play with a cassette player for a week. It took him 2 days to figure out that if he flipped the tape over, he could get the other side.
That's the kid. That's the kid I want to stick with an 8-track because you had like 4 tracks, and if you clip to the other track for the other songs, it would be in the middle of those tracks.
Yeah.
Like, damn it, Mom, just buy me a stereo. I'm tired of listening to your old Kiss 4 tracks.
That's awesome. That's
Sounds
awesome.
like an
Yeah,
experience.
these kids just don't appreciate good technology, right?
Right.
That's right. That's right. You're supposed to blow on your cartridges. Don't say anything, XV. To make them work. And when you buy games, they're supposed to be physically in front of you. You're supposed to touch it,
And-
feel it. XV.
And
don't say
that little switch on the cartridge, will make the game work better.
Absolutely.
It's not starting up. Turn the switch. Don't blow on it.
That mystery switch.
Yes. What does this thing do? It clicks.
Is it breaking it? I don't know. We'll find
Gold
out.
paint makes this a nicer game.
So I have a question though on this physical media thing, because I think aren't we being a little old school in saying that games have to be physical media?
Yes.
I mean,
That was the whole point.
I don't know.
I like to actually touch what I own. That's,
But
Yeah, I like.
I
Same.
still
I
think
like
the consensus though between a lot of us though is still it's like you have to have the physical media, and yet we're the same people that watch digital movies and stuff all the time. I don't understand
Well,
why we have...
here's the thing. For something that I'm paying for and expect to have for a long time, I don't really trust a hard drive to keep it.
here's my
They're
thing.
shady eyes.
I'm gonna be quite honest with you. If they could just download a DS game and play it without modding the DS or whatever, you would hear these conversations ever again, because it's like, hey, I got my brand new iPod. How many MP3s did you buy? None. If I had to, the verse is like, hey, I go download this DS game. Oh, cool. Where? The Nintendo site. Oh.
Yeah, from Mother Brain, basically.
Let me download it off file share and get back to you, okay?
And that's exactly why I specified something I pay for.
Exactly.
In a weird way, when I think of digital media, and I'm not saying I do this, I'm just using this as a reference. So when you download, say, ROMs for emulators, that's kind of what I think of for my digital media. And then when I think of stuff I buy, legit, I think of physical media. I don't know. But we're old men. We're old smelling men.
There's a
This
difference
has been
between
established.
renting a movie and buying it. I don't mind renting a movie off Netflix where we're streaming it to my TV. But if I'm buying it, damn well right, I'm going to have that stupid-ass case collecting dust on my bookshelf.
Yeah.
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 It's probably a hard thing to really quantify why that's such an important thing, but damn it, it's an important thing.
Yeah, to some people, especially people I think of our generation, obviously, because we've grown up with tactile stuff.
Yeah, we want
So-
something tangible in front of us.
Yeah, and
It's our
we're
proof of existence.
we're of that kind of, I guess, that unique generation, probably one of 2 or 3 unique generations that we remember clearly. We were we were older kids when the shift started to digital, so we could appreciate we appreciate and understand
Yeah.
both sides of it.
It's like we're at that strange place where we're gonna remember, hey, that cool internet thing. Man, what are you gonna do on that stupid thing all night?
It's a fact.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. It's a fad. I don't want to code. Like, you have to basically like code to communicate on the internet. I remember that kind of stuff.
It's like, you know what? I'm out of school for the summer, so I won't have internet. I'll be okay. That ain't happening now, man. I don't have internet for like a day. What's that?
Where's my phone?
Oh, my phone. Oh man, I got Facebook. What's going on? Oh, gee. So,
OMG.
remember what it's like to be okay not to have a phone. You know, I'm going to go out to McDonald's. Okay, call me if something happens. No, hope nothing happens.
That's when you used to carry around spare change, so you could call the user.
Yeah.
You had your pager.
Yeah, and
Beep, beep, beep.
And if you were a
until
drug
the time-
dealer, you'd have a cell phone.
Up until the time my grandmother went into the nursing home, she always carried around a quarter for the payphone, even though it had been like 35, 45 cents for the last 15, 20 years.
Remember
But
those
she,
rules?
but she always made sure to have a quarter in her purse just in case she had to go to a payphone.
Why those prepaid cards were so damn novel. Because you might actually
So were
need them.
pagers.
Prepaid cards sucked.
Yes, but it was
Yeah,
much
now we get
better than
prepaid
crap.
phones.
I just played Galaga for 2 hours and someone paged me.
Yeah, no, the prepaid phone cards had their uses. We bought a few of those for like long car trips before we had cell phones.
Mhm.
Or we're also of the generation who's had to, when the consoles started getting smaller, we had to actually explain this to our parents that doesn't mean anything. I mean,
It
you know
wasn't
when
a
you
rip-off.
got your Nintendo, and that is not a piece of furniture like the Atari was. No, it's okay. It's not, or like the Game Boy. I remember telling when I Christmas Day opened up and showing my mom the cartridge. That's how small that thing is. No. And you had to no size doesn't.
And then, of course, the original
It's the motion
Xbox
of the
had to
ocean.
confuse the issue even more, didn't it?
Yes. Does anyone
Yes.
remember getting a PlayStation and being like, "Holy crap"?
Yeah, it was tiny because I mean, if you remember, like, so like it used full-size CDs.
Mm-hmm.
Even though like people were starting to play with mini discs, boy, there's a novelty too. And yeah, the PlayStation was like I guess barely bigger, realistically speaking, barely bigger than the disc. It wasn't much bigger as far as the footprint goes. It was insane.
Digital compact cassette. That was a technology destined to win.
Beta, that's right.
Man, I can't wait to get this Bonnie Raitt album on this $50 cassette. Because that's all that's on it is this Bonnie
Nice.
Raitt album.
Nice. The GameCube is the one that I remember when I first saw one, kind of like shocked me as far as like its size. And I
And
know
the
it was
discs that
designed to
came
be
with it?
tiny. Yeah, but it was like crazy, and it had the little handle on the back, which I never used, but
Yeah.
It
I
was
like
still,
anybody did.
if it didn't have
Well,
that,
it made it really easy to swing the thing around and smack somebody in the head with.
what was
Seriously though, like
See-
it would be so hard for me to actually walk around to my friend's place carrying this thing.
Well, okay,
What am I
there's-
gonna do with the remote control? What am I gonna do with the controls?
Right, that's what I was just thinking. The problem with making that with some kind of built-in carry mechanism, some kind of handle built onto it is, okay, you still got a bunch of like power adapters and controllers and connections to the TV. Where's all that supposed to go while you're carting this thing around town?
Exactly.
the
They
funny
need to
thing,
get bigger and put a big empty space in it to store all the stuff.
the funniest thing about the GameCube handle was Portable Games Magazine started covering GameCube games because now that it has a handle, it is now a portable gaming system.
nice.
Yes.
Technically true. Technically true.
And then one for that handle, that would have been a much more popular system, I think.
And then the worst was when you got the Wii, which came in this big ass box.
But
And
the
it,
thing's
it's
the
the size
size
of
of
a
a DVD
guide.
drive.
yeah. And I know this guy, he was saying that he used to study things, how you could smuggle things. Like Michael Vick tried to smuggle pot using a thermos or something like that. And so people, they use computers and laptops and speakers and things like that to smuggle drugs. and they popped open a Wii, and they looked inside, and they said they pretty much packed that thing so small that there's really nowhere. Like, they made it as compact and small as you possibly can. With the normal everyday components.
I believe it. Yeah, but it's interesting. You know, that's actually a really interesting topic, Rob.
That we stumbled onto by accident. My mistake.
Yes, that was awesome because well, I mean, think about it. Like, okay, so like when the Genesis came out, the Genesis is massive, and it's probably like full of like empty space when you crack it open, right?
It is. It's like
And the Neo Geo was ridiculous.
The NES was the same way, right?
Yeah, it was just like a bunch of air, basically.
Didn't they used to boast about their architecture design of the console? Like, this was a selling point. Like, look at the way this thing looks. Ooh.
Well, that goes back to the idea of it being a piece of furniture in your living room.
Yeah, that was the time. I mean, I still remember the Super Nintendo selling my mom on how important it was for me to get this, even though it wouldn't play my Nintendo games. Damn it, Atari, why'd you do this to me? You know, even though it wasn't backward compatible. And then she looked at it. Why is it so small? Because the box was small.
You got to apologize.
The money doesn't. This doesn't justify it.
It stopped. But luckily the cartridges are. Oh, okay. Ooh,
Yeah, they were bigger. I mean, they were shorter, but they were a lot wider. So it made it feel like bigger.
All honesty, because I'd see Sega. This came out, what, 88, 89, something like that? I'd see the pictures of it in the JCPenney catalogs, you know, before seeing one in person. And I honestly thought, because of the circular design on the top of it, that the cartridges were like records or something, and you opened it up and put them in there.
Nice.
Because there's no picture, there's nothing to go by. It's like, man, that thing is huge. The games must be like records.
Okay, so here's a question. Which was the coolest looking system, if we're talking about like physical stuff? Which is the system which was, when you looked at it, maybe when you still look at it, you think that's an awesome looking system? Like, I want that on my mantle, buddy.
That is a good question, John.
It's awesome when you think about it. I mean, there are some that are like butt ugly.
The
Yeah.
64 was not that great looking from a design standpoint.
The
Honestly,
controller looks sweet, though.
Yeah, I love the 64's controller. I love that.
when the Atari had the wood grain going on, not the cheaper models that were small, but the wood grain.
What? What is this, a Mercedes?
It's a Cadillac.
Yes, they had wood grain, Peter. When they first started off being called the VCSs, and then they were switched over to 2600. Up until the end of the 80s, they scaled it down to be like a more modern-looking console. Where for the longest, it basically looked like a shelf and had wood grain on it, and it had a shelf where you could put your controllers or your games. That might be considering today's styling thing of, hey, look at this big old piece of electronic steampunk crap.
Yeah.
With
Yeah, it
switches
was
to
like
do
pieces of
things like
furniture back then.
Yeah, with switches
Yeah.
for changing levels.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Hey, Brian, who is on assignment, like we said, he lives on in the chat right now, and he brings up the PlayStation 1 as a really sweet-looking console.
It was.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. It really was a beautiful piece of hardware. It was way more. I think the PlayStation 1. I'm not saying the systems before it didn't try this, but I think it was clear with the PlayStation 1 that Sony really tried to like design it, like really add like some design to it.
Make it something nice to sit on your entertainment unit.
Yeah. I mean, they were clearly going for something that really looked nice to like most people.
But obviously, the best-looking console had to be the Sega Saturn, right?
Or the Sega CD, the Genesis sitting on top of it.
Yeah, I always thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Wait,
so-
wasn't there another version of the Sega CD which sat next to it?
Yeah,
it's
it
like
was.
CD too.
Okay.
Yeah, which looks nicer, but I didn't like it because it looked nicer. Because I like the big, horrible-looking Sega CD with the tray
On the bottom.
tray.
Made it like
That's
6
what
times
Sega
thicker
CD
than it already was.
Yeah.
You know, you have to stop and think. It's like, okay, I'm going to get a Sega CD, a Sega Genesis, and a 32X. And now I need a cord for each one of these, and a giant piece of metal between my Genesis and this 32X, and another cord, and some sort of birthing dock for the Sega CD. You had more furniture and pieces to connect it than you did actual game console after a while.
Awesome. Another one that I admit that I like is the current Xbox Slim. I think that looks nice.
It is a
The
nice
black
looking
version.
console.
Yeah,
My
it's
brother
cool.
has one. It's pretty nice looking.
Yeah, I mean it's slick. It's nice. The PlayStation 3.
It's pretty nice looking.
It's all right. It's all right.
You know, the Dreamcast was a nice looking console.
It was different looking. I think that helped it in a way.
Yeah, that
It's
did fail miserably.
Yeah.
Well, it helped it in a sense of aesthetics, maybe not in like success.
I think I was just more like they were obviously trying to, hey, you guys like that PlayStation a lot, huh? Look at this, it's like a PlayStation with the Sega logo on it.
In fact, if you close your eyes and think it's a PlayStation, that's cool too. Just buy one. Just buy one.
Just
I
by
guess.
us.
Oh, here, Brian again. Brian brings
Yeah,
up
he
a
trumped
one.
us all.
Yeah, he trumps us all. The Jaguar. He brings up
With the CD, but Brian, with the CD unit, it looks like a toilet. Which might be its beauty. That's appreciated.
That actually probably helps it.
Oh, speaking of toilet, we overlooked the obvious one here. The Virtual Boy.
The Virtual Boy was awesome. Did you see it chase around that dude in dreadlocks in that commercial?
awesome.
That's going to happen. And there's Butthole Surfers music playing.
Terrific stuff. All right, awesome topic. Hey, what we'll do is, because this topic was so awesome, I'm going to tease the topic for next week. So the topic that was going to be for this week, that we'll do next week. And think about this, all you listeners out there. So we're going to talk about the worst misrepresentations and stereotypes of gamers that we've seen in TV shows and even some movies. So we'll talk about how gamers get the bad rap next week. So that should be a good discussion. Until then, yeah, it should. Nice.
Maybe I won't ruin it.
Rob, you're gonna make.
No, Rob,
buddy.
you saved us this week. That's an awesome topic.
Yes. You
didn't
and your
realize
scholarly
that.
knowledge of
I don't even-
hardware.
I don't even remember how it happened. It's like Inception. It's just
Yeah, or it's like getting your girlfriend pregnant. I don't remember how that happened.
Oh,
Just
oh,
happened.
no,
Hey,
no.
so on that note, let's go out on a high. This has been New Soundwave 63.
And you refuse to let me comment on blowing into the cartridge.
That's right. Next week, XV's gonna come out swinging with a week's worth of your mom jokes.
You
See, the-
bastard.
So this is New Soundwave 63. We will see you next week for 64. Until then, I'm your host, John DeLuna, for Rob, Peter, XV, JD, Brian, who's not here, but he's sort of here in chat. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week.